They say every great story has a moment where everything changes. Sometimes it's a triumph, sometimes it's a fall. For Tyler Grimm, that moment came not on the field, where he dominated as a linebacker, but in a college apartment where teammates found him unconscious, 3 games into what was supposed to be his second chance. This isn't a story about football talent. This isn't even a story about falling down. Too many young athletes know that pain. This is a story about getting back up, about finding the courage to face the person in the mirror, about discovering that sometimes the greatest victory happens away from the scoreboard. Now, Tyler Grimm is a fictional character we've created for the Unheralded Dynasty series, but his story is inspired by real journeys, including that of Las Vegas Raiders star Max Crosby, who has openly shared his own battles with addiction and recovery. Today, we're exploring Tyler's journey, because while he may be fictional, the struggles he faces are very real for countless young athletes. And in the world of college football recruiting, these authentic stories matter more than star ratings. Tyler Grimm emerged from Marshall, Texas as one of the most promising defensive talents in East Texas. At Marshall High School, his sophomore year film showed a linebacker with rare instincts and football intelligence that had college scouts taking early notice. Standing 6'2", with a frame that would eventually carry 241 pounds of well-distributed muscle, Grimm's combination of size, speed, and diagnostic ability made him a Friday night force and potential Saturday standout. During his junior year, Grimm's life began to change when he started drinking at weekend parties. Initially just a social activity that seemed harmless enough. By senior year, what had started as occasional partying evolved into a problematic coping mechanism for mounting pressure. His anxiety, previously channeled productively into obsessive film study and preparation, now found relief in alcohol. Weekend drinking became weekday drinking, and the occasional beer became harder stuff. Despite his struggles, Grimm's natural talent kept him on the field, where his play, while inconsistent, still flashed the brilliance that had once made him a coveted prospect. However, behind closed doors, the situation deteriorated. His grades slipped, his relationships with coaches became strained, and his once promising recruitment cooled significantly. A DUI incident following the final regular season game of his senior year caused most Division I programs to back away entirely. With major programs backing away, Grimm enrolled at Trinity Valley Community College in Athens, Texas. The move represented what he hoped would be both a second chance and a fresh start. What Grimm didn't know was that Trinity Valley's head coach, Marcus Henderson, had worked alongside P.J. O'Connell early in their careers at Texas State. From O'Connell, Henderson then learned an approach to coaching that prioritized understanding the whole person, not just the player. At Trinity Valley, Grimm's struggles with alcohol use disorder intensified. The alcohol that had begun as a social activity and evolved into a coping mechanism now threatened to become a defining characteristic. 3 games into the season, after a particularly concerning weekend where teammates found him unresponsive in his apartment, Coach Henderson approached Grimm with compassion rather than judgment. "Tyler, I see your talent on the field, but I'm watching something precious slip away," Henderson told him in a private conversation. "This isn't about football anymore. This is about your life. I've seen this path before, and I care too much about you as a person to watch you go down it. We have resources that can help, and I'll support you every step of the way. But I need you to be honest with yourself about what's happening." This moment of genuine connection became Grimm's turning point. The conversation opened a door that allowed him to acknowledge the severity of his situation without shame. He chose treatment, leaving the team after playing just 3 games, preserving his eligibility while focusing on recovery. For the first time, professionals correctly identified that his alcohol use disorder was intertwined with significant anxiety disorder that had gone undiagnosed and untreated throughout his formative football years. The treatment process was challenging, but transformative. Grimm spent 2 months in an inpatient program, followed by intensive outpatient therapy. He missed the remainder of the football season and focused entirely on his health. The program helped him understand how his anxiety had fueled his drinking, creating a dangerous cycle of temporary relief, followed by worsening symptoms. While in treatment, Grimm connected with a 12-step program that resonated with his values of accountability and community. He also began working with a therapist who practiced internal family systems, IFS, an approach that helped him understand the different parts of himself. The anxious part that sought relief through alcohol, the perfectionist part that created overwhelming pressure, and the wise, grounded part that had always been there, but had been overwhelmed by the others. This therapeutic approach gave him tools to manage stress by accessing his own internal wisdom, rather than seeking external substances. The IFS work was particularly revelatory for Grimm. He began to understand that his field general instincts on the football field came from the same internal wisdom that could guide him through life's challenges. The same part of him that could read offensive formations and make split-second adjustments could also help him navigate difficult emotions and stressful situations. When he returned to Trinity Valley the following spring, he did so not as an active player, but as a student focusing on academics and recovery. Though he didn't step on the field that semester, his transformation was evident to everyone around him. He maintained connection with the football program while prioritizing his ongoing recovery journey. His coaches noted a profound change. The fog had lifted, revealing the thoughtful, disciplined leader that had always existed beneath his struggles. During this time, Grimm also began sharing his story with younger players who were struggling with their own challenges. His vulnerability and honesty created safe spaces for others to open up about their difficulties. This mentoring role became an unexpected source of strength and purpose for Grimm, showing him that his struggles could serve as a greater purpose in helping others. Coach Henderson often found Grimm in informal conversations with freshman players, offering guidance not just about football, but about managing the pressures of college life. With his academic performance stabilized, and with 8 months in his recovery journey, Grimm made the difficult decision to enter the transfer portal without having played a full season at the JUCO level. His film consists of just those 3 games at Trinity Valley, enough to show his considerable potential, but limited enough to give many programs pause. One of the most significant aspects of Grimm's recovery has been developing strategies to navigate college social environments where drinking is pervasive. He's built a small but solid group of friends who support his sobriety and enjoy activities that don't revolve around alcohol. He's found campus recovery meetings and connected with other students who understand his journey. For managing the intense pressures of football, Grimm has developed a comprehensive stress management toolkit, meditation techniques, regular therapy sessions, physical outlets beyond football, and open communication with trusted mentors. These approaches have proven far more effective than alcohol ever was at managing his anxiety. Grimm knows recovery isn't a destination, but a continuing journey. Why Coach O'Connell in UTSA? The connection to Coach O'Connell began through Coach Henderson, who reached out to his former mentor about Grimm's situation and recovery journey. "There's something special about this young man," Henderson told O'Connell. "His struggle isn't his whole story. It's just part of a bigger journey." When Grimm and Coach O'Connell finally connected, their conversation wasn't primarily about football. Instead, O'Connell wanted to understand Grimm's recovery process, his support systems, and his perspective on the challenges and growth he'd experienced. Grimm found himself opening up about aspects of his journey he rarely shared. What attracts Grimm to O'Connell isn't a coach who promises to fix him. He's done the difficult work of beginning that process himself. Rather, he sees in O'Connell a coach who fosters an environment where his continued growth as both a player and a person can flourish. He appreciates O'Connell's emphasis on program tradition and championship standards, while maintaining perspective on football's place in a balanced life. Most importantly, Grimm respects O'Connell's straightforward approach to both football and life challenges. In their conversations, when Grimm disclosed his ongoing recovery work, O'Connell neither minimized the concern nor treated him as damaged goods. Instead, he asked thoughtful questions about Grimm's recovery plan and support systems, demonstrating an understanding that recovery is an ongoing process rather than a completed achievement. When Coach O'Connell suggested that a redshirt year might be beneficial, Grimm's response revealed his maturity. Rather than viewing it as a setback, he recognized the wisdom in creating space for continued healing and development, without the immediate pressures of game performance. "Football will be there when I'm ready," he told Coach O'Connell during their conversation. "I've learned the hard way that rushing into situations before you're truly prepared only leads to bigger problems down the road. I trust your judgment on timing." Grimm and Coach O'Connell discussed how this year could allow him to establish strong local recovery supports, adapt to the academic demands of a 4-year university, and rebuild his physical conditioning without the immediate pressures of game performance. The path forward. Grimm understands that his journey requires continuing vigilance. He maintains regular therapy sessions, attends recovery support meetings, has developed healthy coping mechanisms for anxiety, and has built a support network that extends beyond football. He doesn't ask for programs to ignore his history. He simply wants the opportunity to be evaluated on who he is now and who he's working to become, rather than solely on his past mistakes. His commitment to championship-level preparation, his appreciation for program tradition, and his determination to maximize his professional potential drive him forward daily. For the right program, one that values both his considerable on-field abilities and understands the importance of supporting his continuing personal growth, Tyler Grimm represents not merely a talented linebacker, but potentially a transformative program leader whose best football remains ahead of him. In his own words, "I'm not running from my past, I'm building on it. There was a time when I thought alcohol was the answer to problems I couldn't even name. Now I understand that my anxiety doesn't define me, and neither does my recovery. They're both part of who I am, but they're not all I am. Recovery has taught me what it really means to take things one day at a time, not just as a saying, but as a way of life. That mindset translates directly to football. Do the next right thing, focus on the process, trust the preparation. When I'm reading an offense pre-snap, I'm using the same part of me that helps me navigate difficult emotions, staying calm, staying curious, staying connected to my wisdom. I'm looking for a program that wants me for the player and leader I'm becoming, not despite my history, but including it. Coach O'Connell sees the whole person, not just the linebacker. That matters more than any star rating or recruiting ranking. I've got a lot of football left to play, and I'm committed to playing it while prioritizing my recovery journey. The championship mentality isn't just about winning games. It's about meeting challenges head on, whether they're on the field or off it. That's the tradition I want to be a part of." Tyler Grimm's fictional story reminds us that the most important battles aren't always fought under Friday night lights. Sometimes they're fought in treatment centers, in therapy sessions, in the quiet moments when you choose to keep going. While Tyler is a character we created for our series, his journey reflects real experiences. His story isn't unique. Addiction touches countless young athletes, just as it did Max Crosby before he became an NFL star. But the courage to seek help, to be vulnerable, and to use that experience to help others, that's the kind of leadership that transcends football. Coach O'Connell and his staff see in Tyler not just a talented linebacker, but a young man whose greatest contributions might happen off the field. In our Unheralded Dynasty series, we look for players whose stories remind us why we love this game. Football develops character, but sometimes character develops despite football. Tyler Grimm is living proof that our lowest moments can become the foundation for our greatest growth. If Tyler's fictional journey resonates with you, please share it. Not for the views, but because someone out there might need to hear that recovery is possible, that asking for help is strength, and that your story isn't over. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, resources are available. Check the description below for national helplines and local support options. Subscribe to follow more Unheralded Dynasty stories, where we explore the real challenges behind fictional characters. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the game of life, the comeback is always possible.